Good morning, and it's a pleasure and a privilege to welcome to the Capitol this morning the National Newspaper Publishers Association, representing African American publishers throughout the United States, and the National Association of Hispanic Publications. I'm particularly pleased to welcome the publishers at a time when they have formed a historic strategic alliance, an alliance I think that will inure to the great benefit of our people. I'm particularly pleased to see this strategic alliance because the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional Hispanic Caucus often work jointly here on the Hill on everything from immigration reform to police abuse of people of color and everything in between. Our agendas are almost identical. This strategic alliance could not be more welcome at this time. It is, after all, a time when we are embarking on a presidential campaign, and we remember the historic role the people of color played in the last presidential campaign, and that we are sure to play again in November. The formation of this strategic alliance, we believe, will make it difficult to ignore people of color, nor should they be ignored by the federal government and federal agencies, whose very missions often require them to reach out to the African American and Hispanic communities. But are they? If so, how are they? If they, in fact, want to maximize their outreach to communities of color, they will surely want to work through the Black and Hispanic press. And if they are not, I am going to find out, because today I am announcing that I am requesting a report from the objective arm of research arm of Congress, the Government Accountability Office, GAO. I'm asking them to conduct a study on the use of advertising by federal agencies whose mission include outreach to people of color. An answer to this problem, I want an answer to this question, and so do the Black and Hispanic publishers. We don't want federal agencies to forget that these publishers are small businesses, and that there is a mandate to engage small business, a mandate, a federal mandate. We want to discover whether that is in fact taking place. If in fact federal agencies want to amplify their outreach to people of color, then there is no more authentic or trusted way to do so than engaging Black and Hispanic press. Now I want to introduce the representatives of the publishers who are here. First, I want to introduce Dr. Benjamin Chavis. Dr. Chavis has had a storied journey in Africa to finally where he is now, to African American journalism. He came through the heart and heat of the civil rights struggle. He has been the executive director of the United Church of Christ, the executive director of the NAACP, and he holds that same title here with the NNPA, and I'm inviting him to come forward there to say a few words to you.
Thank you very much. First, on behalf of the National Newspaper Publishers Association and on behalf of the National Association of Hispanic Publishers, we all owe a great deed of respect and thanks to the leadership of Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Horton. So let's give her a hand for holding this press conference and for her announcement today that she's asking the General Accounting Office, the GAO, to do this study, to do this report, to do this research, so that we can find out the facts about how these federal agencies are advertising and contracting and subcontracting. So thank you so much. It is a report that it is sorely needed for all Americans, but particularly for African Americans and Hispanic Americans. And before my other colleagues come, just let me say for the record, the National Newspaper Publishers Association and the National Association of Hispanic Publications, we want to let you know, Congresswoman Horton, that we support full voting rights and statehood for the District of Columbia. It's long overdue. Taxation without representation is unconstitutional. And you gotta deliver constitutional rights to the seat of our government, DC. So we're gonna work hard with you. And then secondly, this is 2016, as Congresswoman Horton has alluded to. There's no more important time for voting than right now. Not only in the primaries, but the general election. And we have to roll up our sleeves to make sure that every vote in the African American community is counted. Every vote in the Hispanic American community is counted. But none of our votes will be counted unless we vote. So we're going to do a massive GOTV, massive get out the vote, launched by the NNPA and the NAHP for 2016. Thank you so much for coming. Well, and we're going to join with the other members of the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. But I note, for the record, that it was Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Horton that took this first step to make sure we have a full accountability with the federal government and all of the agencies that spend, Congresswoman Horton, we're told billions of dollars in advertising on an annual basis. Billions of dollars. And our small businesses, our African American, Hispanic owned businesses, our women owned businesses, our small businesses, we fear are being shortchanged. But let's get the facts and find out. So thank you very much, and God bless our unity, and God bless our strategic work.
Well, yeah, and God bless this strategic alliance. And I thank you very much for those words, Dr. Chavis, and especially for your support for statehood for the residents of the District of Columbia. Now I'm going to bring forward, if she will forgive me, a homegirl. Because I have known her and the city knows her very well. And I want to say we have, Black and Hispanic press in this town. You can't be a big town or a big city in America today if you don't have both. So we're pleased to have the Afro-American, the Washington Informer, represented here today by our next speaker, the District Chronicles. Those are 3 African-American publications. And, of course, you will know by their name, El Tiempo Latino, our Hispanic publication. Denise Roloff Barnes is DC through and through. From her birth here to her role in a family-owned newspaper from Howard University. And she has been an influential voice, always not only here in the District of Columbia, but in our own suburbs as well, where the Washington Informer is marketed. And we are very proud that one of our own is chair of the NNPA, and I am very proud indeed to introduce to you the publisher of the Washington Informer, Denise Roloff Barnes.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman Norton. She is the hardest working woman in Washington, D.C., and we are so proud, so extremely proud to have her to represent Washington, D.C. up here on the Capitol. And it is also outrageous that she works so hard but doesn't have a vote on behalf of the residents of the District of Columbia. So I'm extremely excited that NNPA and NAHP have agreed to support us, to support you, to make sure that we do have that voice up here on Capitol Hill. We're also publishers and family-owned businesses. We've been in this toil for many years, and it's our view, and we know how we are disproportionately impacted by advertising that goes out to many publications, but excludes African American and Hispanic publications. So it means a great deal to us, Congresswoman, that you have decided to take on this cause on our behalf. We've been saying it, we've been writing about it, we've been writing letters, we've done all that we know how to do to this point. And your energy and impact as it relates to this issue is really going to help us. What it's going to show is really an outrageous reality when it comes to Black and Hispanic-owned publications. And we hope that once we get this information, that you will continue to work with us and your colleagues on the Hill to make sure that we correct or right this ship, because it needs to be corrected as we can continue to do what we need to do on behalf of our readers across this country, which combined represent about 40 million Americans. And the fact that we want to make sure that we can continue to do what we do because we are trusted media when it comes to our readers. And so in order for us to make sure that we continue to do our jobs, this report will make a great deal of difference to us. And we thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate those very good words. And yes, this notion about not having the vote is important to us because we have more people than 2 states, and we pay the highest taxes per capita, of any Americans. I, of course, do have the voting committee. We have just written a new surface transportation bill, and I know that our Black and Hispanic publishers will take note of that because it's the first such bill in 10 years, and it's one of the few bipartisan bills that has come out of this Congress. Now, I am very pleased to introduce, as well as part of this alliance, and I have papers, don't worry. Don't worry. Yeah. Martha Montoya. Now, this is Ms. Montoya is the publisher of El Mundo, and that is in the other Washington, Washington furthest away from this Washington. She has been a leader in diversity contracting with corporate America, and she's going to be a leader in diversity contracting with the federal government when we get through with this. She also is owner of Los Quitos Entertainment and El Mundo Communications. I'm very pleased to welcome Martha Montoya, publisher of El Mundo, to the podium at this time.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Congresswoman Holmes Horton. It is a privilege to stand here with all of you. It is long due, has been long due, but I have to say we stand on the shoulders of many people that have paved the way to be where we are today in the publishing industry. And it is because of those voices that our communities are informed, whether it's in English or they're in Spanish. Buenos dias. I want to thank the board of directors of both organizations who understood the importance of the partnership, because it's long due the fact that we have not walked the hill to ensure that the new generations are going to keep alive our journalism and our voices in the communities, both in English and Spanish. It is because of your stepping up that now across the country, all our publications will know that the District of Columbia doesn't have a vote, which is something new to us. We thought when we immigrated to this country, some have been 2-3 generations here, that we have no vote in the capital of the world, literally. And so your voice will be heard now in Spanish, not only in English, across the country. And we will ensure that when we immigrated to this country, we will have a vote in the #1 city of the world. Thank you again. We will look into this report because it's not only us publications being affected, the ad agencies of minority and color who understand our communities are also being affected. And they are the ones who understand us. And they are the ones who work with us. So we'll be walking the path of this report on behalf of the publications, but on behalf of our minority agencies who have an amazing amount of creative staff and members that need to get and stay on our communities. 40 million readers every single week is not cheap change, and therefore we'll make sure that we will have a voice on an ongoing basis on this. We'll see you a year from now. We'll work between, but we hope to be here with a better alliance where the report is moving the boat in a different direction. So thank you so much. Gracias a todas mis publicaciones por venir y espero que dupliquemos y tripliquemos el año entrante la presencia de todos nosotros. Gracias. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I want to thank our Black and Hispanic publishers again and they've been here for a couple of days, for not neglecting the Hill. I want to apologize that the Congress is on recess for this week, but it doesn't do a lot. So it does go on recess sometimes for a whole week. But it will be back. And I want to ask if you have any questions for our publishers.
Do you have a sense of a ballpark of how many billions you're talking about? That is in the
We don't have any sense of that. That's what I want to do. I mean, no one has any sense, frankly, of how much advertising federal agencies do. That's a very hard figure to come to. But if you don't even know how much they do, then you certainly don't know how much they do with African American and Hispanic press. We know they do some, because we see some evidence. We also don't know, and one of the things I'm going to find out is how much they do compared with how much they do with other press. For example, do we use other press? Press, for example, that may be mainstream press, which is not as deeply penetrating into our communities. I don't even know if they have a strategy, but the GAO will help us find out. Any more questions for our publishers?
I did ask yesterday to the census that specific question, and the answer was, my question was how much money is being spent on our markets themselves, and they answered that it's all combined with the mainstream. So they themselves don't have it very clear. So that tells us that even the census, which is the #1 agency that tells us the demographics, do not know how they're spending their money proportionally to our communities. We have big problems.
Well, they only find out what's happening. They don't spend the money. And who spends the money are the people right up here in the Capitol, and we'll find out how they're spending it. And we will. The jail takes its own good time. We have to stand in line. And, just because we asked for it, I will also get the chairs this year of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus and the Congressional Black Caucus to join with me in asking for this report, and we will be the first to know.
Congresswoman, have you, prior to this press conference, have you spoken to others about this situation?
No, this was brought to my attention by the publishers this very week. We had no reason to even know that this was an important issue. Thank you. This was an important issue until the publishers raised it. And that is their job. Now we know what our job is.
Representative Norton, how long do you think it'll take for the report to be issued?
Nobody knows that. The GAO has us stand in line. So I cannot tell you, and they probably couldn't tell you, when this report will be out. They do a report, they give it to us to read, and then they ask us to comment on it, and then they do a final report. That's the way they usually do business.
And then why is it important to get the support of the NNPA and the NHP for full voting rights for DC? Why is that important?
Well, the publishers are the most authentic voice of our people. They are trusted. Nobody, when they read the African American and Hispanic press, wonder whether they're telling the truth. So if federal agencies want that kind of penetration, if they want that kind of trust, then of course they know where to find it, or do they? And that's what we're going to find out. Are there any more questions?
Yes, ma'am. If you find out that there's a vast disparity between what other publications are getting and what these two publications are getting, what type of instruments do you have to put pressure on the government?
Well,
to
first
make
we
sure?
have now a large number of members. I know we have 43 Congressional Black Caucus members, and we have a very large number. I don't have the exact number of Congressional Hispanic Caucus members. That's quite a coalition right there. That's quite a strategic coalition right there. And we will then call in the agencies. We will look to the agencies that you would most expect. The federal government does not, as such, as a quote government, does not engage in advertising. Who does engage in advertising are various agencies. So we want the strategic agencies, the agencies that ought to be reaching out, because their mission is related to the large number of African American and Hispanic Americans in our country. The GAO will help us to figure out how to reach out and who to reach out to. Any more questions on the public? Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.